Hello and welcome. I am thrilled to have the opportunity to speak with you today because I have an opportunity for Meineke that I think will revolutionize the way that they do business and truly the way that automotive maintenance is done across the country. This concept is Meineke, the launch of a one-stop shop. And while I have the opportunity to present this to you today, you'll hear me speaking in the collective throughout this presentation because truly there were a group of us who worked on this. Today, I want to challenge you to think bigger. Think about the opportunities that exist in the current market. Today, the market for automotive maintenance is really broken up into two sectors. We have repair, and then there is the car wash and detailing service. For Meineke, there is a deep history in the repair space. The company has resources and knowledge in this space, and yet there is not really any space in the car wash and detailing industry that Meineke is broken into yet. Think about the opportunities that exist if we bring these two sectors together in a way that makes sense for the customer. The proposed solution that we want to pitch to you today is to incorporate repair, wash, and detail all in one location. Through expanding Meineke's services and co-locating them, we believe that this will drive satisfaction for customers, which will drive customer loyalty. So the solution that we're pitching is beyond just adding car wash and adding detailing. There's a whole wraparound of services that make this extremely consumer-centric. Truly, it's a platform-level solution. The first innovative solution I want to talk to you about is a subscription payment model. The solution here is really that in today's automotive maintenance world, when a customer comes in, sometimes they'll have their car assessed and sometimes they'll just choose from a menu of services a la carte. I want to have my oil changed and my tires rotated, but maybe nothing else. And maybe the customer really isn't the best person to be making that choice. Our recommendation is that Meineke provide a subscription payment plan in which customers pay monthly and have a whole host of services that they're able to receive for that one monthly cost. The second option is mobile services. Think about the last time you had to get your oil changed. My guess is your oil light came on and you said, no, I don't want to have to go through all of the work of thinking about where do I take my car, of setting up the appointment, of taking perhaps time out of your workday to do it. Our recommendation is that Meineke create a fleet of repair vehicles that can do minor services like an oil change and go to the customer to perform them. Finally, we recommend that Meineke enhance the applications that they already have to make them more consumer friendly and to expand the offerings available on those apps. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the payment plan that I just shared. So if we think about the traditional plan, the a la carte plan, that's how it's always happened. And yet think about all of the benefits that come from a subscription model, both for the customer and for Meineke. For the customer, they pay once monthly and don't have to think about it beyond that. All of their car needs are taken care of, and they have a lot of assurance in that. And yet for Meineke, we know that subscription models can be incredibly revenue generating. Think about your gym membership. We know that all of our local gyms are making lots of money on the concept that people have to pay monthly and yet don't always use the service. So really, subscription model is win-win. The other unique component about our subscription model would be the way that mobile services play into this. For the traditional payment plan, for consumers who are not paying for the subscription fee, if they want to use the mobile services, that's absolutely fine, but there will be a little bit of an upcharge on this. For those who want to subscribe and pay a monthly fee, mobile services are included. So this is the payment plan that we propose Meineke move forward with. As we think about all of these innovations, there are some really big pains that customers are currently dealing with and some gains that they would really like to have created. Let's talk through some of the pains that we're hoping to relieve. First is drive time. So if I think about my car and all of the things it needs some things done at a maintenance shop, the outside needs to be cleaned, the inside needs to be cleaned, and currently I have to take it to 3 different places to get all of those things done. meaning that that whole scenario I just walked through with scheduling the appointment, taking time off work, all of that has to be done in 3 separate locations, and there's drive time involved, and there's a lot of burden. Think about all the analysis that you have to do to make that happen. I have to do all of the research on a car service place. I have to do all the research on detailing. I have to do all the research on car wash. And my loyalty really doesn't lie with any of these because none of these companies are making it easy for me. And finally, none of this works around my schedule. All of this is working around the company's schedule. So the things that we're proposing relieve each of these pains and create new gains. Now there's a way that the company comes to me. Now this service can be done in a timely fashion. There is incredible value in the proposition here. Now we know to make this happen, some things will have to change and some key partners will have to be included. The first partnership that really needs to be leveraged is internal relationships. You, who I'm speaking to, need to be on board with this to be able to push it through the corporate process. Secondly, we know dealerships are going to be a key partner. Dealers are the ones that supply the loaner vehicles that make it possible for people to bring their car in and leave it with us, sometimes for a couple of days if there are major damages. So in order to scale this business, we know that dealerships are going to be an important partner. And finally, our suppliers, both existing suppliers who will need to ramp up the supplies and new suppliers. We currently do not have car wash materials. We don't have interior supplies. And all of these vendors will need to come on board and be great partners with us to make this work. Now we know that no benefit comes without a cost. The 4 major costs that I will share with you now, and we'll go into detail a little bit later in this presentation, are startup capital. We know it's going to take some money to be able to build the car wash, to retrofit some vehicles for mobile detailing. Additionally, we know there will be some new human resources that have to come on board, be that managers, technicians. There will be a little bit of human effort that has to take place. During our proposal of having an app built out and that infrastructure be greater, we know that that will likely have some cost implications. And finally, all of this will have what we're just calling general processing costs. I want you to think a little bit more deeply about the segments of opportunity that exist. Maybe another way to think about this is the types of customers who would be attracted to this type of solution. We have 2 very broad categories, but you can think of these in very specifics as well. So the first segment is the time-poor customer. So I like to think of this one as a busy executive, someone who is willing to pay the money to have this done, but really just doesn't have the time. This person is a great option for our subscription model, as it takes a lot of the work out of all of the research for them, and for our mobile options as well. The second segment of opportunity really is in the value shopper. The one that I like to think of here is maybe a family where both parents are working and they're really pinching pennies to make sure that this is all going to work financially. We have an incredible opportunity for them as well, as we will do comparative pricing across our company and be very transparent about what Meineke offers versus what the competitors offer. Now we know that there are already solutions in place for how you can get your car detailed or serviced. And the 2 major next best solutions that we have identified are both self-service and third-party solutions. So many things, specifically washing and detailing your car, can be done on your own time. I can, if I choose to, go out and buy soap to wash my car, and I can pull a vacuum from my house out to the garage and do it all myself. There are some things I can't do myself though, such as change my own oil. I am not skilled enough to do that. So there are options to do it yourself, but a lot of those have a lot of pains involved that consumers really don't want to have to do. There's also third-party solutions. We know that a lot of dealerships have their own options for repair, but then cheaper are third-party solutions. Now let's think about some of the pains involved there. A lot of times it is an off-brand part that they are using. A lot of times there is questionable trustworthiness in third-party solutions. So we know that there are some next best solutions in use currently, but we would beg to differ that these are really the best solution possible. So we know that there's going to have to be a very specific strategy to bring this concept to market. First, we want to start with an omni-channel marketing strategy, using multiple avenues to get the message out to consumers. Second, we believe a really interesting strategy will be to be very transparent with our customers about what services are needed and what price point those will come in at. We know that a lot of times automotive service is kind of a black box. I come up, I don't know what they did to my car, I don't know why it costs so much money, and that can be very frustrating to consumers. Our recommendation is that not only do we need to roll out new services, but we need to add a new culture of transparency to Meineke. And finally, as part of that culture of transparency, we have to begin to educate our customers on the services. So be willing to take the time to say, sir, we need to change your oil, and this is why, and these are the implications. We know that this will have a very disruptive effect on the market. Think about the trajectory of innovation. We have moved from now a single automotive repair shop to a shop that can do it all and will even come to you. And we're creating value that we think will be distinctive for Meineke and will be a competitive advantage. The tasks that would have to be carried out to make this a reality, we know are expensive, time-consuming, and require a lot of leadership to take place. And so we believe that those will be adequate barriers to entry for our competitors to move into this space. Now, to ensure that we were innovating in a way that was meaningful to customers, we did a value target analysis. And essentially what this means was, out of all of the features that we are wanting to build into our portfolio, are we really addressing the things that are both highly satisfying to customers and highly important? We don't want to be innovating really hard on something that customers are saying, that's great, maybe you have the best XYZ in the world, but I don't really need the best of that feature. And so we can assure you that everything that has made it into this final presentation are the things that are values that customers see as both highly important and something that will greatly increase their satisfaction. So I spoke briefly about the competitive advantages, but wanted to share a little bit more here. By being able to bundle our services in one location, this is something that most of our competitors cannot do at the moment. At that first slide I showed you, where I showed the market of, we have automotive repair over here, and we have car detailing over here, that is truly the truth of the market right now. So the ability to bundle services is something that will be an advantage in the eyes of customers and will be a threat in the eyes of our competitors. Secondly, mobile repair shop is not something that is happening today. We know that you can get your windshield fixed in a mobile fashion, and maybe you can get your car washed in a mobile fashion, but currently you cannot get your oil changed through someone who will come to your office and do it for you. So we know that the innovation here is something that will be difficult to replicate, and the company resources are something that make this very difficult for our competitors to replicate. The second two competitive advantages are really around culture. So the first two are in our hard assets. These are things that are hard to copy because they are cost intensive and labor intensive. The second two are really about the culture of Meineke and the trust that we're building with consumers. So the ability to communicate well with our consumers, to say, this is what your car needs. We can assure you that these are the reasons why, and this is how much it will cost. And then be able to tell them, not your car will be ready anywhere from noon to 5 p.m., but to say your car will be ready at 2 p.m. These are things that are not done in other businesses and really would take an entire rework of the company's culture to make that happen. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the prototype of what this solution would be. I could have shown you a photo of a car wash with detailing services, but instead I wanted to bring you the app. So in the app, there are 4 distinct features. First is services. This allows customers to go in and understand what services are available at each Meineke location. And actually in the second tab, then book those appointments themselves. This saves a lot of time and a lot of frustration on the customer's end. Should there be any frustration, there is a tab for customer services. And finally, this is a space where customers can, on their own time, join the subscription maintenance plan. As one more assurance that the design that we had built is truly what customers needed, we did a conjoint analysis to understand better what our customers want and to ensure that this prototype makes sense to them. So you'll see that we did 2 different runs of this conjoint analysis. In the first one, we tested 5 different attributes, and this was then compiled into 3 different product offerings. So you can see the attributes listed here, and these were scrambled up to allow customers to say, this is what I would like, and this is the product that relates to. Now, we learned something valuable from this first conjoint analysis, and this was when we determined that we actually have a platform-level solution. And what that meant to us is that really the strength of our offerings comes when they are all together. This is not an a la carte option. They are interconnected and only work when they're together. So we see that our option actually wasn't represented in any one of these distinct 3 products. However, each of the correlating attributes to what we were suggesting were ranked highly and were preferable to our customers. So we took this as a very positive result. In our second run, we left most of the attributes the same, but we added in brand. So we had Meineke as option 1, this was our solution. Option 2 was Jiffy Lube, and option 3 was Mr. The reason that we chose these other 2 brands is because Jiffy Lube is really kind of the bare bones option. They only do automotive services. And so if customers were to choose option 2, this would let us know Meineke really doesn't need to innovate. We like it the way it is. And that would be very valuable input for us. Luckily, that's not what they chose. The third option was Mr. And Mr. is the closest option that we found to what we are proposing to build for Meineke. So those were the 2 reasons that those were chosen. And I'll show you here what customers said were the most important attributes to them. Interestingly, brand actually was a very important attribute. This signals to us that there is a lot of loyalty in brand for consumers. However, the most highly rated attribute was available services, a very, very popular team. Now we see here that Meineke's scenario, the one that we are proposing, ranked far above the other 2 options. This gives us a high level of confidence that there is differential value in this solution. Now I want to share with you some more specifics on the finances. As we look here, this solution is projecting around $570,000 of annual revenue. You can see if you look more closely that the way we get here is through monthly fees, so this is subscription, and then non-monthly fees, this is a la carte. A little bit more closely, you can see here on the left that we have assumptions about the volume that will be done, the number of car washes and details that we anticipate will be done on a monthly basis. And then on the right would be the fee schedule. So you multiply those together and that helps you understand where we got our revenue. Now, finally, we know that it's not all revenue. There are expenses, and to a degree, there are some pretty high expenses, specifically in startup costs. So we anticipate that the capital costs here are really the greatest financial expense. And that is because we have to now retrofit some existing Meineke locations to add on the car wash and detailing services and have to completely launch a mobile brand. So the startup costs are high. There are also some labor costs to be able to add on technicians for this new work and general overhead as would be expected. All of this comes together in a profit and loss statement or an income statement. And what this shows is that in year 1, we do have some losses. This is to be expected with a lot of startups as the capital costs really hit in year 1. However, we see in year 2 that this solution breaks even and actually turns a profit. These are very conservative estimates. You'll notice that the gross sales are not increased from year 1 to year 2. We do expect that there will likely be an increase as word gets out, as customers become excited about this proposal. But to be sure that we are being cognizant of the expenses and conservative in our estimates, we've chosen to leave that there. These financials give us a great deal of confidence that there will be a return on investment for this solution. Now, it would be remiss to not speak to the social value model. We know that this creates a lot of value for customers in time and things like that, but we also know that automotive services are one of the major contributors to greenhouse gases and to other things that are really unruly. So we have proposed a model to be able to divert some of the pollution that comes from cars. First, want to do water retention and reduction, meaning as we are washing and detailing these cars, we want to do so in a way that retains some of that water, recycles it, and is able to make good use of it. Secondly, we want Meineke to commit to eco-friendly chemicals. This is really the way that the industry is moving anyway, and so don't believe that this is something that will necessarily differentiate Meineke, but is something that is critically important to keep Meineke in line with the thinking of the industry. Secondly, for the chemicals we use, even the eco-friendly ones, it is paramount that they are properly disposed of. And finally, as a social value model, we believe that educating our customers on ways to reduce their carbon footprint through their car and other components such as this through properly taking care of their car is a way that we create value not only for the customers, but for society as large. We know that there are going to have to be very specific and intentional marketing campaigns that take place to ensure this launches successfully. We believe that search engine optimization will be the first and most important, as when you're looking for car services, the first thing you do is Google it. We think that email marketing will be specifically important for our subscription-based model. And finally, social media marketing will help get the word out and generate buzz for this solution. Now, finally, we know that there are some risks that will take place in any solution, but wanted to be very specific in pointing those out here. We have assessed the ecosystem risk, and the recommendation is that the major risk really lies in the mobile services. We believe that we need to have intentional leadership in this area to understand with eyes wide open that there are risks here and ensure that we are properly buffering against these risks. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing me to share this model with you. I believe that Meineke is uniquely positioned to make this happen, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to have presented it to you today. Thank you.